Okay, so we have the Stabil-Rizer block, we have the can we removed from the original pyramid-shaped block that came with the Gen 4 Pro from Wicked Edge. Now this, and this, and this all goes back together in a long stack with the screws provided from the bottom. It'll thread up through, all the way through the vise, one on each side, the same way as we took it apart. We want to put it back together. We want to start one side and then go to the other side. Always making sure that the handle is up. And it is up, down now, but it is in the up position if it was turned over, so that there's no tension on it. And then I'm starting on one side and going to the other side. And I'm going to go back and forth as it compresses that washer stack. There is a lot of screw, so it's a lot of turning. And I'm working back and forth. If it gets there we go. At one point it's going to make a click. The first one is usually rough as it engages. I did turn it over to get to the shorter side so I could have more torque, because it is compressing up, and I am going to tighten it up until it bottoms out. Tightened up till it's bottomed out. Okay, now we have the Stabil-Rizer receiver on the vise. The vise is working very well. And then this gets put back onto here, the handle forward, with the same screws you took out. By dropping in the screws from the top, it gets to be a handful trying to balance this, and I'm working on a glass table, so I don't want to drop it on my glass table. But it's really a very simple process. And one more I'm putting in. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it this way and tighten it up. I'm not torquing it down terribly, but I'm tightening it up. Now I'm going to move this back to the lowest setting. Set it back on top of here. And it'll line right up on those 4 holes for the 4 top screws. And I'm going to get them started first. Remember, we took this all the way to the lowest position to start with, lifted it off in the lowest position so it locks right up. And before I tighten it down, I'm making sure that it's engaged. And that's fine and that's tight. Now we're going to put the top plate back on. Now, when the top plate, 1/8 inch, when the top plate is back on, I do try to do it like car lug nuts in a cross pattern just to keep it flat. And I'm just snugging it up to start with. Making sure it's engaged, and I can see that looking down in these slots, I can see that the slides are moving. It's not rattling, it's smooth. The bearing is engaged. And then cross pattern one more. Okay, so now the Stabil-Rizer block is installed. And then the next step is to install the bracket arms. Now the bracket arms are the same, but one is with that oval forward and one is with that oval to the rear. The left side, the oval is to the rear, and when you insert it into that slot, we're looking to, excuse me, yes, if the screw goes from the front, the oval is to the rear. If the screw comes from the back, the oval is to the front. So sliding it in there, getting it lined up with that hole, and then it'll line right up with that bracket. The bracket again has to be, whoops, let me make this clear. The bracket again has to be so that the hole's lined up. So we came over here to get it engaged, but now when we're trying to tighten it back up, we have to go back over to here. Now the bracket is slid where I can line up with the oval, and it just clicked right in. It like goes in at an angle and then clicks right in, and then the screw goes right in from the front, and the screw goes right in from the front, and you can feel it that it lined right up, and then it'll start. And there we go. And then these I would grab it with a pliers to give it a little bit of a twist. Now if you're working with the newer brackets, it's the same thing. The only difference is where the adjuster knobs are. They still have the same. And then this one would go on this side, and it catches on the front, and I'm gonna slide it, and it went right in. Let me show you that again. I'm going to get it in between those brackets. It slides, give it a little bit of a tilt, and you can feel it. And you heard it click. It slides right in. And then from the back side with the hole lined, this has to be towards the right end, 27 degrees. It lines right up, and I'm running in that screw. And then I'll give it a last tighten with the pliers. So there we have, the brackets are installed, the Stabil-Rizer is installed, and then the next thing is to put together the kit. Thanks.